I'm Matt Mills, the CRO for SailPoint Technologies, and this is a fireside chat with Microsoft. I've got the president of U.S. Enterprises here for Microsoft, Matt Renner. Matt, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here. Appreciate the invite.
No, you bet, man. I'm excited to have a chat in front of our customers and prospects. So let's just get right to it. Look, you guys, you partner a ton. And I'm guessing you probably know as well as anybody the difference between a good partnership and one that's not so good, right? What works and what doesn't work. Can you share a little bit of that with the audience?
The partnership topic for us, I mean, the simple high level things we look for is, does a partner bring us scale? Do you bring us reach? Do you bring us, frankly, credibility in the scenario? And obviously, from a SailPoint perspective, you bring all three relative to this piece. But I think that the magic in the partnership has to be, do we really bring something to each other? Meaning, do these solutions really bring value to both sides? And that's clear here. Definitely from a complementary scenario at the solution area, great story there. I think if we want to make sure this is productive and goes well, when I look at other partnerships, the next phase of it has to do with, frankly, sponsorship. And I think we've got that as well. Obviously, the two of us sponsoring on either side is a big plus, but it also helps us with focus and measurement as we go forward. So I think we've got both parts of the puzzle, if you will, to be wildly successful together.
Yeah, I think that's right. These good partnerships are also built off of common interests and common views. Certainly, Microsoft and SailPoint, we're very focused on our end customers, making sure they have the great success and continue to grow with us, right? So talk a little bit about what Microsoft and SailPoint bring together to our mutual customers and prospects.
Sure. So obviously Microsoft is very focused on from an identity management perspective and providing our products that are in there, and from that side. There's no question that SailPoint definitely offers a much higher degree, when you look at an IGA tool and this partnership, a much higher degree of everything from security to, frankly, governance as you look into this process. Again, as you look at what we're ultimately trying to do, which is to get our solutions and ultimately out to the edge to all of our end customers and endpoints, a lot of complexity starts to unfold. And being able to partner with SailPoint, frankly, just gives it a much more secure and frankly balanced overall solution. So basically, it helps us as we get into very complex customers, you get into regulated industries, you get into certain areas where there's a tremendous amount of frankly specific regulatory scenarios that you'll run into. It's almost required. So I would tell you, we definitely have a great story. An even better story together.
Yeah, so certainly the events of the last 6 months really have kind of heightened, if you will, the whole issue of identity governance, right? And your CEO actually said, as a society, we've probably transformed digitally more in the last 3 or 4 months than we have in the last 2 or 3 years, right? And can you talk a little bit about how identity really matters to our mutual customers, and you know, how certainly this environment we're in today has really kind of accelerated that issue?
Well, I think a couple things. So to Satya's comments, yeah, without question, you know, the events with COVID and frankly the change of work location and configuration of folks and endpoints actually going outside of the firewalls, if you will, to a certain extent, outside of frankly the location or the physical buildings and plants and every other type of office environment, has definitely changed the environment. I think, you know, stage one was a lot of our customers, our joint customers, had to change up their entire configuration, right? They didn't wake up one day deciding I'm going to have 90% of my employees outside of our facilities. So that was phase one. Once you got through that and actually was the combination of, let me make sure the devices are out there, coupled with the network that's at least connecting, was what do you do with security and identity management as you start digging into that? What are the complexities that we have with our applications that are both internal facing and frankly the conglomeration of all these other third-party apps that we're trying to tie together from a SaaS perspective? how's that all going to work in the new configuration? And the reality behind that part of the discussion has matured over the last 90 days, meaning we're seeing a lot more discussions around security, around endpoints, around identity management, around single sign-on. All these different pieces are coming forward now that the companies are in a much different configuration. Now they're kind of having to live this configuration versus just react to it.
So lastly, let me ask you this. I think the audience was interested in hearing what's the new norm for Microsoft, right? How are you interacting with your customers and prospects, right? Tell me how that's going.
You know, it's been a pretty incredible 6 months, and I say the new norm is probably a much higher degree of productivity, just based on all of the remote work. I mean, obviously we drink our own wine, eat our own dog food, however you want to put it. You know, the reality behind it is a lot of our day is spent on Teams. A lot of my day is spent here in my basement, you know, in the western burbs of Chicago, talking to customers. But it's a lot faster to do everything from when you take out the travel. It's a lot faster to, frankly, prep. It's a lot faster to have conversations with customers. The customer conversations tend to be compressing, meaning they almost seem to be quicker and more efficient. It's a lot easier to drive everything through a collaborative environment like Teams, which we obviously use for everything from exchanging documents to, frankly, follow-up. And so I think it's been a more productive time. I'll tell you, it's a draining situation for everybody. We're very mindful of our folks, right? I mean, when you look at mental health, you look at how our folks are dealing with it. We've spent a lot of time trying to be mindful of folks taking breaks, because it can be a grind. You get to the desk at whatever time in the morning, and you get up at 5, and that blurred line between home and work is tough to figure out. But for me, it's walking up a flight of steps and there's the family, right? So it's been an interesting time. I would say it's been pretty grinding. But by the same token, these tools have made it more collaborative. So it's been productive.
So to that end, thank you, and appreciate it all. Thanks, man.
Anytime. It's a big partnership for us.
Thanks.